In the last lesson, we looked at the grid options, the sizes, XS, SM, MD, and LG, and the different size breaking points where the screens would actually adjust, and we would change where we're placing if the content is stacking or not. And you can add some additional controls using media queries. So within our example that we had before, I've just added a media query. So if the max width is less than 480, then it's actually going to update and change the color to white and the background color to aqua. So just see what happens, and we can see that once we hit that breaking point, we do have that change. And you could have them coincide with the Bootstrap sizes, or you could update and set your own sizes. And that's how media queries work. And as well with the media queries, there's a few other things with the Bootstrap template that are important to note. So besides being able to create a grid-like fashion, we talked about fluid containers and regular containers. So the regular container has a fixed width, and we see that up here of 1170 is the container width. So these are the actual container widths if you specify container. If you do container fluid, it's just going to be 100% width. So that's the difference between those two. And also here, we're looking at, we have the ability to add multiple classes. So if we want something to look different, entirely different on a mobile device as it does on a desktop device, and again, this is that mobile first mentality, we have the ability to have different looks, different amount of columns. So here we've got on an XS, it's going to be 12, and there's going to be another half column there. So when we shrink it down, we see the way that it stacks, and I think that we lost that positioning, but we do see how it's stacking. So here it's stacking, it's taking the full 12 because it's XS size, and it's giving us allocating half of the available width for XS. So, and remember again, with XS, you can't shrink less than XS. So this is reserving this spacing on the absolute smallest of screen sizes. We also have offsetting columns. We have these, we have column wrapping. So over here we've got, if we only set up a 9 across, if the 4 and 6 is going to be more that the column can accommodate it, it's going to be over the allocated amount. So here we have an example, 9 plus 4 equals 13. So it's greater than 12. So these two are always going to reserve that amount of space. And that's how column wrapping works. There's also column resets. So this is an important one because if you've got columns, and most of the time when you're writing columns, you're going to have different amounts of content in each one. So it's not going to be exactly aligned. And when you shrink it down, and always again thinking that mobile first mentality, that you don't want this column to be stacking in here and taking up that space. You want to really allocate the 6 and 6, 6 and 6. So you want that column reset in order to match up the height. There's also offsetting of columns. So on the larger size there, if you want to take up a certain amount of space, but you want to have a blank spacing for columns, or if you want to center them, you add in the columns. So here we've got MD4, MD4, but we're offsetting the second MD4 by 4. So we're actually moving this one over and still taking up 12 across, but we're just offsetting it. So the offset counts into the amount of space that we're allocating, the column widths that we're allocating. We also have the ability for nesting columns, so we can do columns within other columns, multiple levels of columns, and they're going to work the same way as the rest of the columns work. We can also change the order of columns, so we can pull and push them and switch them around if need be. So there's quite a bit you can do with columns, and the grid system is really flexible and accommodating for whatever styling you're looking to accomplish.